What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well. Hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. If not, do go and check it out. And we've had quite an interesting day, to say the least. Not what I wanted exactly. You can see there was a lot of back and forth price action. Very messy today. So I'm hoping that Thursday and Friday gives us a bit of a continuation. But nonetheless, if you watched yesterday's video, you'll know that I marked out this high as being a potential target for price, and you can see how we tapped into that a couple of times today. And then I was also saying that I wanted to see Monday's high get taken, which did happen actually before the next day, and then we actually ran it during the London session as well. And I was talking about as well the midnight opening price and how I wanted to see price stay above it. That wasn't the case. You can see that price very much used it as pretty much like a barometer, as in trading both sides off it quite aggressively too. So hopefully price calms down a bit. It might be a big ask, but hopefully it calms down a bit as we move into Thursday for the week. So I'm going to jump up to the daily just to see how we're looking. And you can see we did have another up close kind of. We still haven't managed to take out this high just yet. And if you remember in yesterday's video, I didn't even mention that, so I'll take that back. But my point is, once we take out this high, that will then permit this to be a bullish order block, and we can start thinking about highs up here, here and here, etc. But first of all, obviously I'm looking to see if price can get into this fair value gap, which I did bring our attention to in yesterday's video. So that pretty much remains the same. All my biases pretty much remain the same, as in I still want to see price trade higher. It's just been really ugly today, especially in the early hours. A lot of back and forth, came down, grabbed stops, and then we've gone back above that Sunday opening price. So the Sunday opening price isn't holding price the way I ideally wanted to see it do so, which isn't the end of the world. It just wasn't as clean in terms of delivery as I was expecting. And then you can also see that did we even slightly tap into this? We did leave this fair value gap open, which is quite interesting. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if that can stay open, that would act as a breakaway gap for me, and that would be supportive of my bias of wanting to see us travel higher on dollar and continue to roll on to the upside. But other than that, there's genuinely not much more for you to say, because my bias hasn't changed much other than the fact, like I said, we've had quite an ugly day. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be everything on dollar. I'm not expecting much. Ideally, the lowest I'd want to see price trade tomorrow, if we are going to start dropping again, I don't want to see it drop much at all, to be honest. Like, we have a fair value gap down here, but even that's been traded to, as in we traded into it on this wick, this small gap right here. Looking at very intricate details right here, but it's very hard to be specific in times like these, on the back of days like these as well. But what I am looking at is these two down close candles and the fact that we've traded through it. What I will pay close attention to is the 50% level, which is that same fair value gap. So that would be the very lowest I'd be okay with price to trade. And when I say okay, like, ideally it doesn't. Again, I just like I said yesterday, I wanted to see us stay above that Sunday opening price, but looking at how much back and forth price action we have, that's not really very hopeful. And because of that, I don't really want to be involved, because I'm not sure how much more time it's going to spend messing about around this Sunday opening price. So I haven't really got much to say. A little not as confident as I was yesterday after seeing the way that price delivered today. Because if you look at this, guys, just stare at it for a bit, and you'll realize it's actually ugly. You gotta look close, and then you start to realize you don't want to be involved in this, because there's not really much you could have got involved in. So anyone that was trading today, God bless you. The setups which I wanted to form didn't necessarily form. I'd say, other than this run into the buy side, that was delivered gorgeously. We had a classic Asia range where we took out both sides, so I can't really complain about that, to be honest. But other than that, yeah, moving into tomorrow, I just want to see us trade higher, and I want to see some expansion away from it, because after having this consolidation on the Wednesday, I'd like to think that Thursday and Friday we can get a continuation. So like I said, I'm looking for this fair value gap to get traded. I traded to. I don't really want to see us. You see this range right here, low, high, lower, low. Ideally, I don't want to see us trade below this whole level down there. I don't want to see that, to be honest. So I'll mark this out as red just for my own sake, so that if I do find that price is messing around in those levels, I know just to close my positions and just leave it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to think that price can continue to the upside. But I'd say that is quite hopeful in these conditions. So yeah, guys, this isn't clean price action. I just want to make that clear. And, don't be too hard on yourself in times like these, because it's not clean, and it's not clean intentionally. And we are coming into quite an important time of the year, I believe. with regards to the kind of news that's coming out, etc. So let's move on to GBP USD. We'll start here on the, oh god, look at it, guys, look at that. You'll see that anyway. My bias yesterday, I wanted to see price draw towards the Sunday opening price. We didn't even get to that, let alone the sell side liquidity pool. But again, my bias hasn't changed. I still want to see downwards price action. It was nice. It was interesting to see where we traded to, though. So we do have a breaker here. We are on the 5 minute right now, by the way, guys. But if you look at this high, low, higher high, and we traded lower, I looked at the last down close candles, drew that out, and you can see our price tapped into it here on the back of CPI, I believe. And we tapped into it one more time, failing to take out this high, which is quite interesting, and then wandering on lower. So again, pretty range bound in terms of consolidation, but like, moving on to tomorrow, I would like to think that price can just roll over and trade lower. And I know it's easier said than done. And I know I said this about this yesterday, but my bias hasn't changed. You know, nothing's been broken for me to have thought any different. Maybe if we had traded through this breaker, so if price traded higher than that, then I'd be a little bit confused. But right now, technically, it's still in line with my bias in expecting that the rest of the week is going to trade lower. Yes, you could argue we've had, we haven't had a down close day necessarily. Well, we haven't really finished today. We're just returning back to equilibrium as in we've opened here. And if we drew a line through, you can see we're pretty much at that point now. So things like this I think this is what we call time dilation. And in tomorrow's video, I'll talk about time dilation more specifically on what it is, but I think this might be a perfect example of it, depending on how we move tomorrow. If we find that we're expanding and rolling and running and back on the move tomorrow, then this is what we call time dilation, and I'll do a video about it. But generally speaking, my bias remains the same. But let's go to the daily nonetheless. I'm sure you can hear that I'm quite ill, so send your blessings. And yeah, same thing, I'm still expecting us to run sell stops. I still want to see us hit that Sunday opening price. We have a large wick now. In fact, let's you know what, let's clear up some things on the charts because it's looking a little bit messy for my liking. Get rid of this, 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 and I'm gonna get rid of this because right now all I have my eyes set on is that Sunday opening price. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the daily, and the reason I wanted to clear everything was because now that we have this large wick from today, I'm going to be looking at the 50% level off it at the 25% level. So if we draw this out, wow, yeah, Wednesday, cool. We're going to look at the 50% level, which is up here, and I'll look at the 25% level, which is right here. And then as we drop down to the 1 hour, actually let's go to the 15 minute. Wow, to be honest, that 50% level looks a little bit ambitious, so I'm going to get rid of that. And right now I have my eyes set on this, which is 25% level off the wick from Wednesday. And what I'd like to see is price trade into that and get turned around at it, basically. The same way we traded higher into this breaker. This is the breaker I was looking at from a 15 minute high, low, higher high, displacement. And if we draw out that breaker right here, the last down close candle, you'll see that's exactly where we tapped into, which explains price action here. Right. Similarly, I'm looking at the 25% level of this range now. Don't get me wrong, this is disgusting, right? But moving this tomorrow, I'd like to think it will use this wick accordingly, whereby if it trades into that, it will get turned around. In addition to that is the way that we've just ran out this stop here with this bullish order block. Same thing, as in, this is like, the fact that we've done this basically kind of is like confirmation to me, or suggestive to me, that price shouldn't need to go above this high. It's almost protecting it, which then supports this level, which is what I was talking about, which would be the highs I want to see price trade tomorrow. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Asia range forms, but ideally that would be the highs that price trades, and then like I said, we can get that rollover, which I've been waiting for, and maybe run into that Wednesday low and hit that Sunday opening price, and then, and only then, can I start thinking about these lows, etc. But again, this might just be a matter of time dilation, or it was just an ugly return to a breaker, because this is classic price action when you really think about it. We've had a reversal, price trades lower, return to the breaker, very classic in price action. It's just that it's done it in a very ugly way, so that's something to consider, and that's what I'm looking at. But yeah, in times like these, again, as I said earlier, you can't be too hard on yourself just because these conditions aren't nice to trade in. Look at that. Look at that. That would drive anyone insane. So yeah, that's just something to consider. But yeah, I like the look of this, and because of that, I don't want to see price trade above this high. So that's going to be everything on pound. I hope that will make sense. Pretty much same as yesterday, but now we've got, you know, new levels we can refer to, and we are going to finish up on Euro USD. This is quite a quick video, to be fair. I'm going to clear up some things over here. Actually, before we do that, let's go to the daily. And you'll see that yesterday we traded into what would have been a bullish order block, which is also the Sunday opening price, which is nice to see. And we found resistance at that. And if you watched yesterday's video, you'll remember me saying I'm expecting us to trade up to the Sunday opening price, which we did. But we've done it again very messily. We spent a lot of time up there, which I didn't want to see price spend up there, but it did it anyway, because price does what it wants and we can only predict it so much. And what's interesting to see is that we tapped, did we even tap into this? We have a gap here. Is that being left open? If this has been left untouched, again, ideally it gets left open, because it's been left open. So ideally that should stay like that. And the reason for that is because it will act as a breakaway gap for price, and that will indicate that, okay, it's ready to run, because, you know, this is just indicative of price. It's very typical cliche price action, so to speak. But yeah, we had a rally, not the cleanest, but, you know, a rally nonetheless. And then similar to what I was looking at on dollar, these two up close candles, as soon as we traded through that at 3 p.m. here, as soon as we traded through this candle low at 3 p.m, I'm now looking at these two up close candles as bullish order blocks. We can look at the range between this low and this high, and now I'm looking at the 50% level. And as far as I'm concerned, price shouldn't trade above that, because that's what we call mean threshold, and price shouldn't be able to violate that, assuming we are bearish. Let's go to the daily real quick, and you'll see that that just happens, that level which I just marked out, you just saw me do that, happens to line up with the 25% level of the wick. So you see how my concepts are just, not my concepts, apologies, what I've learned, what ICT's concepts, or the idea of consequent encroachment and measuring ranges with quarters, how it translates to different time frames. When they're layered like this, they tend to act a lot stronger. So it's going to be interesting to see how price acts around this level tomorrow. Like, don't get me, we might rally, maybe create the high up there, but similar to what we have in pound, I really like the look of this, the way we've taken out this high. I'll talk more on this tomorrow if price plays out as anticipated, but this is sexy to me. Alright, so it'd be nice to see if price can stay below here. Ideally, price doesn't even get all the way up here. I'd like to think that it would rally into these four close candles. I'd like to think it can rally into that at the most, maybe 50% of that at the most, and then turn around and start hunting for sell stops. Because as far as I'm concerned, we do now have some very clean relative equal lows below here. We have some sell side liquidity below here that's looking to get eaten up for lunch. So it'd be nice to see if we can see that expansion on Thursday. But overall, and we've got high impact news, we've got interest rates on euro. But overall, euro, I'd say, delivered the nicest today in terms of we expected it to trade into the midnight candle. It traded above it, stayed above there for about an hour or so, and then it left it, and it didn't leave it, you know, half-heartedly. It left it quite nicely. It went up there, high, low, high, high, broke lower, and started running away pretty quickly, and I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. So, you know, it done exactly what we wanted. It just didn't do it as clean as I wanted, as in entry level clean, because not at one point today would have I seen a bang. Even in the London session, I woke up for it, and as we hit this, I was thinking, oh yeah, that would be my setup, and price broke down nicely. But you can see as soon as it got to about 3 o'clock, which is where my setup usually forms, I realized that we're pulling back in the range, and it was just getting messy, and I thought, and it's not for me. So ideally tomorrow's when my setup forms. But yeah, quite a messy day. But again, don't be too hard on yourself. Look at this. You don't want to be involved in days like this. You want to be involved with days like this, you know. Look at this, beautiful. Open, high, low, close. Like, that's the type of days you want to be involved in, guys. You know? So that's what I'm looking for moving into tomorrow. Same here, open, low, expand, high, close. So that's what I'm looking for tomorrow, ideally. And like I said, the high, if it makes the high around this up close candle, so be it. I'd be happy with that. And that set me up nicely, maybe in the London session or early hours. And then we'll look for expansion to the downside with an expectation to run out. We'll start running towards this sell side liquidity pool in line with dollar, ideally, and I say ideally with emphasis, trading higher, but dollar's a little bit deeper below. I'm not too much of a fan of dollar just because of how do I explain this? How much time it's spending in the sell side of the Sunday opening price. It's not treating it how I want it to be treated, basically. So that's making me a little bit nervous, and why I think it's either on the edge of just failing completely and rolling over and just reversing on itself and running for these lows. It's either doing that, or, you know, we'll see a complete reversal happen tomorrow. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know. So it is what it is. But yeah, I hope you found this insightful, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join me over on Discord. All the links are in the description. Join the and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.